Hello, my name is Laurie Cook. I'm the Executive Director for RISE Augusta, and I'm going to read a story for you guys today. I love reading stories, and this is one of my favorites. This is the true story of the Three Little Pigs, and it was actually told by Sciezka and illustrated by Lane Smith. Everybody knows the story of the Three Little Pigs, or at least they think they do. But I'll let you in a little secret. Nobody knows the real story because nobody has ever heard my story. I am the wolf, Alexander T. Wolf. You can call me Al. I don't know how this whole big bad wolf thing started, but it's all wrong. Maybe it's because of our diet. Hey, it's not my fault that wolves eat cute little animals like bunnies and sheep and pigs. That's just the way we are. If cheeseburgers were cute, folks would probably think you were big and bad too. But like I was saying, this whole big bad wolf thing is all wrong. The real story is about a sneeze and a cup of sugar. So I'm going to tell you the real story. Way back, once upon a time, I was making a birthday cake for my dear old granny, but I had a terrible sneezing cold, and then I ran out of sugar. So I walked down the street to ask my neighbor for a cup of sugar, just like anybody would do. Now, this neighbor was a pig. And he wasn't very bright either. He had built his whole house out of straw. Can you believe it? I mean, who in his right mind would build a house of straw? So, of course, the minute I knocked on the door, it fell right in. I didn't want to just walk into someone else's house, so I called, little pig, are you in? And there wasn't any answer. I was just about to go home without my cup of sugar for my dear old granny's birthday cake when my nose started to itch. I felt a sneeze coming on. Well, I huffed and I snuffed and I sneezed a great sneeze. And you know what? That whole darn straw house just fell down. And right in the middle of that pile of straw was the first little pig, dead as a doornail. He had been in his house the whole time. It seemed like a shame to leave a perfectly good ham dinner laying in the straw, so I ate it up. Think of it as a big cheeseburger just laying there. I was feeling a little better, but I still didn't have my cup of sugar, so I went to my next neighbor's house. That neighbor was the first little pig's brother. He was a little smarter, but not much. He had built his house out of sticks. I rang the bell on the stick house. Nobody answered. I called, Mr. Pig, are you in? He yelled back, go away, wolf. You can't come in. I'm shaving my hairs on my chinny chin. I had just grabbed the doorknob when I felt another sneeze coming on. I huffed and I snuffed and I tried to cover my mouth, but I sneezed a great sneeze, and you're not going to believe it. This little guy's house fell down just like his brother's, and when the dust cleared, there was the second little pig, dead as a doornail. Wolf's honor. Now, you know, food will spoil if you just leave it out in the open. So I did the only thing there was left to do. I had dinner again. Think of it as a second helping. I was getting awfully full, but my cold was feeling a lot better. But I still didn't have that cup of sugar for my dear old granny's birthday cake. So I went to the next house. This guy was the first and second little pig's brother. He must have been the brains of the family because he had built his house out of bricks. I knocked on that brick house and there was no answer. I called, Mr. Pig, are you in?" And do you know what that rude little porker answered? "Get out of here, Wolf, and don't bother me again." Talk about impolite. He probably had a whole sack full of sugar, and he wouldn't even give me one little cup for my dear, sweet old Granny's birthday cake. What a pig! I was just about ready to go home and maybe make a nice birthday card instead of a cake when I started feeling my cold coming back on. I huffed, I snuffed, and I sneezed once again. Then that third little pig yelled, "And your old Granny can sit on a pin." Now, I'm usually a pretty calm fellow, but when somebody talks about my Granny like that, I go a little crazy. When the cops drove up, of course I was trying to break down this pig's door, and the whole time I was huffing and puffing and sneezing and making a real scene. The rest, they say, is history. The news reporters found out about the 2 pigs I had for dinner. They figured a sick guy going to borrow a cup of sugar didn't sound very exciting. So they jazzed up the story with all of that huff and puff and blow your house down nonsense. And they made me the big bad wolf. That's it. That's the real story. I was framed. But maybe you could loan me a cup of sugar. That's the end of the true story of the 3 little pigs. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Thank you.